I'm Marna and this is the Dolls Rescue Channel. We are once again, Darren and I, sending out beginner crafter packets. We are going to send them out to different people each time. The Barbies for the witches has already gone out, and this is what you will find in your packet. If you did not receive a packet, go ahead and watch the video because you can still do this on your own for your own Barbies. Okay, for the Curvy Barbie, we need to increase the size of the pattern. This is going to be the skirt. It's going to be reversible. It is not as hard as it sounds. It'll actually be easier making it reversible. This is Simplicity Pattern 5785. I am using the skirt F. Forgive my fingernails. I had an incident with Cruella hair. I am taking number 20 skirt, and what I did is I put this up in my window, held it in place, took a piece of copy paper, held it over the pattern, and increased the size by about, I don't know, what is that, a little over a quarter inch, between a quarter and a half inch longer. And then this area here, what I did for the Curvy Barbie was the waist for a regular Barbie, and these are the old style, I believe, is right here. What I did is I used the dotted line, which is your seam line, for her waist size, just to increase it. So I have my pattern, I have my fabric. I want the Nightmare fabric. Believe me, you will want that, I promise you, with the black in the back. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this on our cutting board, and we are going to play with it till it folds down long enough for the skirt, but not wasting fabric. I'm going to move that up a little bit. We're going to pin that down and cut it. I'm doing it together. You could do separate. If you do it together, it fits, because what happens is your under fabric is folded, so it already has that allowance that will make it fit inside the other, but when it's reversed, it still works. The first thing you do after you cut this out is very carefully and pay attention to your pattern, because you can't just cut this any way. In the back, you cut your skirt along that line, and that's going to give you your back opening to put the skirt on your doll. From there, you will sew the two together around the waist and then around the hem, and then what we'll do is we'll turn it inside right from the opening in the back of the skirt. Okay, I sent you each a pattern. It is not the best pattern, but it is ready to go for you to cut out. Cut it out with paper scissors. Cut your fabric out with good scissors. After you do your waist, go ahead and cut the waist very carefully all the way around. And then where it says cut open for back, before you take your pattern off, slide your scissors inside there, pulling down on your fabric just a little and up with your scissors, and clip that. And as I said, let's take these out, and I'll show you how to move your pattern. Hang on to your pattern. You can use that again for any fabric at all. You could make a Christmas skirt or a everyday skirt, whatever you like. All right, and then pin this down all the way around. Okay, I'm not sure I said, I'm pretty sure I did not say to sew the one side shut. So in other words, come this way, go all the way around, come up, and then do your waist. And then what we're going to do is take the scissors to it and very carefully at your corners, very carefully, snip that off. And then on the circle, your circle for your skirt and your circle for your waist, cut down to the seam. Do not cut the seam. Just make little bitty snips. And what that does is it frees the fabric so that when you turn that inside out, see how it straightens? When you turn that inside out, it makes a pretty, it lays down prettier. And do that all the way around, about an inch, half inch to an inch apart, make those little snips. All right, your ironing is not only important, it's going to take patience. The first thing you need to do, I use a chopstick. And you want to gently pull down on your fabric as you pull up on your chopstick against your seam. And then you finger press that. And that is, you're working that seam, kind of stretching the fabric around the seam so that it lays. And you want to do that all the way around for that and the waistline. And then when you bring it over to your iron, and I'm not done doing that, I just want to show you. You want to, as you iron, slow and carefully, you want to push that up, hold it with your fingers, and stay right. You want that seam right in the middle, right in the middle. Cut a piece of the black fabric, the off-fall from what you had, approximately 7 inches. Yes, it's going to be too big, so if you cut it 6.5, you'd probably be fine. Do not cut it to size, because by the time you go around your waist with this is going to be your waistband, it's going to take extra, and you don't want to get to the end to find out that you're a quarter inch off. First thing we're going to do with the skirt, before we iron this, I wanted to show you this. Where's my stick? There it is we are going to tuck this in under and really shove the 2 end pieces up. And we're going to shove them until they are flat. Let me get this lined up. I didn't have mine in. It's kind of tricky. Let me repeat this and repeat this and repeat this. None of this is hard. It is, it takes patience, that's all. You just have to take your time to do it. And by making it reversible, it takes a little bit longer, but in the long run, honest to goodness, it could be easier than trying to put that seam turned up all the way around the bottom of this big bubble skirt. And like I said, fold this under a 1/4 inch-ish, and then take your whatever you're pushing with and push those seams really tight at both ends. Make sure your fabric, your bottom and your top fabric are even. Iron that down. Oops, mine moved. Okay. There we go. Iron that down. And just run a quick stitch from end to end right on the edge. And then what we're going to do, we're going to take this piece of fabric. You know what? I don't want that. That doesn't matter. Take your piece of fabric, fold it in half, iron it. Then take each end, or each side, and fold it. See how I'm folding that halfway? And then I will iron again. And then I will do the same thing on the other side. It's a little thick for the waistline, but with it being a curvy Barbie especially, it's going to be great. And then let me show you what we're going to do. We're going to take the first end, open it up, fold it inside so that the frayed end is now inside and finished. And then we're going to fold that back over, tucking it, and iron that corner real good. Ow. Yeah, if the sewing police ever came to my house, I'd have all of my privileges taken away, be fined. That's all right. All right, so you have that seam in there. Do your seam first. I'm just showing you an example. Then you put your waistline over your waist. You don't have to do this because it is a finished edge, but it's going to look a lot cuter in the end. You want to pin that down, or if you're hand sewing, you can just manipulate it as you go and sew that all the way around your fabric till you get to the end and stop. See where that eyeball is? Stop about a 1/2 inch before the end. And then we will snip and tuck, and I'll show you that when we get there. As you're sewing this, you want your skirt to be flat as you're pushing your bias tape in. And you're going to have to raise your foot and turn as you go. Again, this is not hard. It is tedious. And it's going to take time. So when you get to the end, let me get mine. I get frustrated too. So right there, I need to twist that. As you can see, my bias tape went up a little bit. It's okay. I'm bringing it around. I don't go far. I lift my foot again. I turn my fabric. I line my bias tape. I've been doing that all the way around. I make a couple more stitches. And see how I'm pushing that with my hand? I lift my needle, I turn my skirt. All right, so at this point, we are going to tuck our end. And why aren't my scissors cutting? All right, I have my foot lifted. And I'm gonna have to lift my needle for this. I went a little too far, or I have too much is the truth. Let me cut a little more. If I can. Cut just a little more. Oh, what a mess. Boy, my scissors. These are my good little sewing machine scissors that I clip everything with too. All right, so get that. Oh, there we go. And then you turn your bias tape under so that finish the edges. But there's a trick to it. When you turn that, you have to tuck your edges back up under as you sew. And you push those up so that you don't have little pieces sticking out. Now I'm going to tighten my thread back up. Make sure my skirt is straight. And I'm going to bring that around. I have a mess on the table. I have been behind and I'm trying to catch up. I have added a skirt to the Barbie DIY because Darren was so kind. I asked him if he would print some witches hats, and he printed not only these. Come on, that is so cute. He made he made each of the Barbie packets a cute little witch's hat that is candy corn. So it needed a candy corn skirt. So we're just going to do something quick and easy. And what we're going to do is you will have this cut out in your packet. You may need to iron it before you start. But we're going to fold this over once, just a little bit, and once again about, I don't know, what is that, 1/4 inch? So that, and we will put a seam all the way down so that the piece of elastic you will also find in the packet will go through there and make a gathered skirt. Before you put your elastic in, what we will do is take the bottom hem up twice to finish that. And then run a seam down that. And I'll show you how to do the elastic after we get our 2 seams in. You will need a small safety pin and a larger safety pin. I absolutely love this skirt, this reversible skirt. I hope you love yours too. You could do about any of the challenges coming up so far, and there's another one that this will be good for. But you could do witch or pirate or, oh gosh, so many with the black or that. I really like it. And then we'll get your 3rd skirt ready. And this is just a fun Halloween print because I love the hat. I'm going to show you how to do the shirt in just a little bit. This is how I got the size for the elastic. I put it around the doll's waist and I cut it snug, not tight, snug. And then I put a larger safety pin in sideways and one as a runner. And you take that, I meant to tell you, when you put your stitching in, whether you do it by hand or machine, you do want to knot each end. And the reason is your elastic will give it stress. And so you don't want that seam coming up at either end before you get there or as you get there. So knot that down on either side. And then just put your safety pin through the channel and just keep drawing it. And the idea is that the bigger safety pin on this side will hold the elastic in place. Now let me show you when you get to the other end how to finish the back of this skirt. And then I'll show you what I have and then we'll turn it around. Okay, when you pull your elastic to make that seam, you do not want to pull too far. The idea is it needs to fit over these hips. She has very large hips and thighs. And if you have that too tight, especially on dolls where this does not flex, you will break that hip seal and your doll's legs will be floppy. Be very aware of that when you're sewing for dolls. So when you go to the sewing machine, line up your waist, pull this gently, and then take your seam all the way down, making a knot at either end. Okay, when I pulled my seam tight, I had this much elastic on either safety pin. It took 2 hands to line it up, and I had to redo it a couple times because if your pin gets sideways, you can sew that down or even break your sewing machine needle. After I sewed a straight stitch from the top to the bottom, I left my needle in the machine, I turned it around, and I came back with a zigzag. When I got to the waist, I pulled this tight and snipped it one at a time so I could even that out. Now we just turn this around and try it on our doll. I can't remember if this fabric glows in the dark or not. I know that I have 2 prints like this. One is larger than the other. I think this is the smaller of the 2. And I'm not sure that it glows in the dark, but one of them does. Anyway, you just slide this on your doll. Oh, that's cute. Look at that. That is adorable. Just adorable. Okay, we're getting ready to make this top I have on my Barbie, but I want to show you something really important. When you take this off and on your doll, you have to unlace it to get over these hips. Again, I tell you, be really careful with doll hips. This is a corset, and you will lace it up. Very easy, easy, easy what we're going to do. So this is the strip of fabric we have for the top, and this is where we're going with it. You've seen it on her all cinched up. This is embroidery thread, and when you take it off and on, it is going to, I'm not going to call it fray, but come apart. We're going to try one with ribbon and see which we like better. This is a piece of fabric That is a little longer than I wanted. I was looking for 5¼ by 2-ish. 2¼ So we might cut this down just a little bit because we don't want it too wide up here, but we want it long enough for the stitching. So I'm going to cut this down a little bit and square it up. I did not cut these square. I did some chopping at them so that you could get a piece of the fabric, and to square it up, you kind of fold it and even it out like this, just a little. And then you're going to take it on all 4 sides. This is how I do it. Some might do it different. I start on the short edge, I fold it once, I fold it twice, I sew down till I get to here. I put my needle down into the machine so that it's holding my fabric, and then I fold this twice, moving my needle slowly to the corner, picking my foot back up, turning that, coming down and doing that all the way around. Now, if you are a beginner with a sewing machine, or if you're doing this by hand it's simple. When you get to the corner, you stop ahead, fold your fabric, and then start again. If you are new to a sewing machine and it makes you nervous to turn your corners, then you can simply do your stitch from end to end, go to the other side, do end to end, and then come to your long ends and sew those end to end. Okay, as you can see, I like the embroidery thread better than the ribbon because of what it is. But not only is it harder to work with, it will fray. And if you fool around with that, you'll have a mess. So since this is for beginner crafters, I am sending ribbon, which will be just as cute. And some of you will like it better than the embroidery thread anyway. But if you wanted embroidery thread, that's what you could use. Just get it on your own. I'm using an embroidery needle that I am putting my ribbon through. I'm putting a knot at the end, not because I'm pulling it tight, but because that's what a pirate would have. So I'm putting it in this end, and then you have to decide, turning your little shirt together, lining it up. Which side do you want up and which side do you want down? Because with this fabric, there are skulls in all directions. So I'm going to go this way. And you're going to lace this like a shoe sole. So what you want to do is your open end is up top. So you want to go in this side at the top. And I'm going to do it right there. And then down a little bit on the far side and pull through, and you can do side at a time. When you start that top, it's a little harder. Don't put it all the way through. You will have some adjusting, but let that hang. You never know exactly how much ribbon you need till you've done this once. And then you pull that and you go over, not under. And then you come up over the top, inside the other side, the far side. And you want to go right next to your seam. Now I'm doing this a little further apart than I did the embroidery thread because I'm just showing you here. And then again, over the top, but coming up under your far side. Pulling that tight. Oh, and you want to keep your ribbon straight too. You don't want it all twisted. Then you go all the way to the bottom, come up under. At the bottom, you gotta pull that through. Guess I caught too much fabric there. Keeping my ribbon straight. Now, on this side, at the bottom, you want to stay over so that your bottom piece lays on the bottom both sides. So back in. And then you will do the opposite on the way back. Let me get that turned because it really matters where it lays flat. Oh, look at that. I pulled the string. It's got to come. Okay. There we go. All right. Then you're going to come up between and go across from your stitch here and do that all the way up. You're going to match each of those. The hardest thing is at this point keeping your ribbon straight because by now it's twisted. In fact, I'm going to show you a little trick that I forgot to do, and that is untwist it. Move your needle down a little bit. You're going to come up from underneath once again. You are here, so you want to come up across from the next stitch right in here. And go over to the other side once you get it pulled. See, you line it up with that one. I didn't have that line so well. There we go. And then your top stitch will be all the way up like this one was done. And that's a harder one to pull through. In fact, I am going to go ahead and do this stitch right there. And then come up so it's my sole pull through. The only place I'm pulling through is what I'm trying to say. Now don't forget that the ribbon looks long on the end, but you're going to make a bow with that. So it needs to be longer so that you can tie it. Get that pulled so that when I come up under with this, I don't catch it. I'm pushing against my counter, but that's not the hard part. It's the pulling the ribbon through. All right, I'll pull this through and show you what we got. When you get to the end, you're going to need to loosen all of this because this is a thick Barbie and she is going to need this loosened up quite a bit to get it over these hips. That's another reason that you need these this ribbon long at the ends. And just loosen that up and then loosen this up as you go. Like that. And then that's not enough, I can tell already. And just loosen, 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 and loosen. And keep working that until it fits without squishing this on her. You do not want to force that on. It'll be snug, but you don't want to force. Like there, I'm stopping. Her thighs meet in the middle, but a lot of dolls don't. And you will break those thighs And I promise you, you won't like it because your doll's legs will be very floppy after that. They'll be loose fitting. And on a lot of dolls, there's nothing you can do about it. All right, so let's get her laced up all sexy. And then you just do the opposite, just like you do your shoes. Try to keep your ribbons straight as you go, little by little, making sure you have ribbon on both sides, and try to make it symmetrical. Leave enough room for tying a bow, and then put your knot in the other side at each end because it's piratey. And then cut your ribbon and tie for a cute and sexy Hollywood pirate. Once you get your bow in, just work it down till it's a pretty little bow. Did you notice that I tied that upside down so that it would hang right, although it doesn't seem to be. And then she could also be a pirate, a witch, or even used for the Nightmare Before Christmas collab. We tried to give you as many options as we could. Thank you for watching. We will have more craft packets that we put together coming up. They will be sent out to different subscribers each time. All you have to do is, when we show what we're going to do and ask if you're interested, you have to be a subscriber and leave a comment saying you're interested. Please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe.